On Friday, the individual section wrestling tournament begins at the Mayo Civic Center. The best of southeastern Minnesota will be there, of course. ABC 6 sports reporter Sean Tian tells us about one unique individual who's battled quite a bit to get there. This is cool.
Yeah, Betsy. Hayfield junior wrestler Jackson Height has always been involved in sports since he was a young kid. But over the past few years, he's had to overcome more obstacles than a normal high school student has to.
Wrestling is life for the Height family. Current Hayfield wrestler Jackson Height has wrestled since kindergarten. But back in 2012, near the end of his 7th grade school year, on his family's farm in nearby Sargent, Jackson was dealt a tough hand.
He was on the farm working, and at the end of the day, he couldn't walk very well. Had a lot of pain. So I knew that wasn't right.
Doctors had found chondroblastoma, a non-cancerous tumor in his hip.
I didn't really know what to think. I didn't know what it was like. I don't know. I was kind of shocked for a second. So
Jackson had to have hip surgery to remove the tumor.
You tried to, keep it positive, more of a line of it could be worse. But it's a pretty serious surgery, what he had to do.
In 8th grade, he couldn't play any sports. He returned to the wrestling mat his freshman year at Hayfield. As a sophomore, it was smooth sailing for Jackson until a few weeks before the section tournament. That's when the tumor came back. His head coach and father, Brad Height, says he didn't want to let his son wrestle the rest of the season, but Jackson convinced him otherwise.
He said, well, if I can't use it again, I want to give it a shot. It was tough. He had a lot of pain. He had times where he couldn't walk to class. He had to sit down in the hallways, and so you can imagine how hard that is to try to compete on a level of state contenders. But he just wanted to compete. I didn't want to make it worse. You look at him when he's 30 years old and not being able to walk very well because of what we've decided would have been pretty tough to take. So
even with the tumor, Jackson wrestled his way into the state tournament, something he's dreamed of accomplishing since he was little. After the season, he had a second hip surgery to remove the tumor.
there was a possibility they would have had to put a metal hip in, and that could have been done. So I didn't know what was going to happen after that state tournament match. But I was nervous.
Jackson's second surgery was successful. He says if the tumor comes back, though, a third surgery would require an artificial hip, and he likely wouldn't ever be able to play sports again. And wrestling doesn't improve the risk of the tumor coming back, so Jackson is still wrestling, riding out his high school career. Physically, he's limited in practice, but he says overall he's doing fine. It's clearing the mental hurdles, which can be tough.
We've had wrestlers in here, like some of the guys on that wall over there that were state champions. Chris Steele, Nick Severson, Shane, our coach, they all helped me back through it. So
he's a kid that's had to come back from, starting over completely twice. So it just shows kind of the character he has to continue to come back, because that's who he is.
The last thing Jackson wants for his peers to do is feel sorry for him. He wants to be a source of motivation for those who may face similar or tougher adversity.
I want this to be like a learning thing for other people that have the same or something similar to it, that they can just fight right through it. And I think that's one of the things I want to get out of this. Some people, they can fight through it with anything they got.
Betsy Jackson is the number 4 seed in the Section 1A 126-pound weight class. He'll wrestle against Dover Yota's Corbin Powrey for a chance to reach the section quarterfinals on Friday.
How cool is that? Now, I can relate to his dad, because I think getting news of something like this with your child, the first thing you want to do is protect them, and you don't want to see them go through any more injuries.
He's clearly talking with Brad, clearly a father first and a coach second, but he wants what's in his son's best interest. And Jackson, all he wants to do is compete. It's not very common that you see a 17-year-old, a junior in high school, have multiple hip surgeries. You don't see that in high school, yet he's still competing at a high level, and his dad is okay with that.
Now, you didn't learn about this from Jackson. So when you approached Jackson and said that we're looking to do the story, what was his first reaction? He
was surprised. The backstory behind that is I met Jackson's grandfather. I did a story on Jackson's cousin Kyle. Did a prep athlete feature on her. Very good softball player, volleyball player, and basketball player. Just a very good athlete in general. Athletics runs in the Height family, clearly. Yeah. But anyways, Jackson's grandpa approached me about this story, and I was instantly just very interested and curious to learn more about Jackson's condition, his ability to fight through so much adversity. So really, credit goes to Jackson's grandfather, and he's an awesome kid, and I wish him nothing but the best.
Okay, one other quick question. A lot of times when we sit across from people and we talk to them about their story, we end up taking away something more. What was it that really hit you about Jackson?
You can always fight. I mean, if you put your mind to something, you can always fight past a mental obstacle or everything. You talk about physically, you know, he has to deal with enough. He can't really run as well as he used to. As you can see, he's doing exercises to stretch out that hip, stretch out those hip muscles. But he's still wrestling at such a high level, and that just shows, you know, if you're limited somehow, you can fight past it too.
Yeah, cool. Good story.
Thank you.
All right, and good luck to Jackson as he moves forward. We want to remind everybody that the individual tournament begins on Friday afternoon. It is at the Mayo Civic Center.